Hey everybody, short video on Punnett Squares based on a lot of your requests and a lot of you coming to see me, especially after the quiz last week. I will be going over the two big examples that were on the quiz, and hopefully this will help you just review some of the key concepts that you need to know for Punnett Squares. And hopefully this video will help you go from really hating Punnett Squares to loving Punnett Squares, because you gotta love those Punnett Squares. You gotta feel the love for them. So the first one here is the color blindness one. By the time of your next test or your next quiz or definitely your exam, you need to have learned these, especially the 4 genetic diseases that we talked about. So hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, and sickle cell disease. You need to have learned what they are caused by, and essentially if you're given one of these diseases to figure out in a Punnett square, you need to know the details of each one. So color blindness, and we've talked about this, is a sex-linked, color blindness is a sex-linked trait, okay, like hemophilia, and it's recessive. You need to know this, okay? So we know already that we're going to be using our X's and our Y's. So XY is for a male, XX is for a female. Susan is colorblind, her brother is not. This is the only information we're given, and this is what you need to work with. What are her mother and father's genotypes and phenotypes for colorblindness? Okay, so we'll start with the stuff that we know for sure, and then we'll work backwards. We know for sure that Susan is colorblind, which means definitely, since colorblindness is recessive, she has the recessive allele on both of her X chromosomes, whereas her brother, who is not, since he only has one X chromosome, we know he has the capital H. Now I'm using H because it's just easier than to use C. So we can work backwards and figure out the genotypes of her parents. Okay, for Susan to be colorblind, that means she inherited one of these X's from her father and one of these X's from her mother. Okay, automatically it means that her father was colorblind. This is automatic. If she had gotten the Y, she didn't get the Y because she's a girl. Now this is her brother. Her brother got the Y from the dad. So let's go back. She inherits one of these from her mother, one of these from her father. So her brother definitely has the colorblindness allele. Now her mother definitely has at least one. Okay, now we can already start filling this out. There you go. There's Susan in our Punnett square, and her brother would be one of these. Now, since her brother is not colorblind, that means that definitely he inherited this chromosome from his mother. So we'll fill it in here, and there we go. So within our Punnett square, we have Susan and her brother. Now, there was a slight possibility that she could have had a brother that was colorblind, but it didn't happen. And there was also the possibility that they would have had a daughter that wasn't colorblind, but that didn't happen. Okay, so in this case, mother is a carrier, and the father is colorblind. So this is our Punnett square for colorblindness. This is the exact same thing you would do if you had a problem on hemophilia or any other sex-linked disorder that I may mention. Okay, so sex-linked disorders are associated with the X chromosomes. Okay, and most of the ones that, not most of the ones, all the ones that we've studied or are going to study are recessive. So let's look at our, here we have, our problem here is sickle cell disease. So we'll circle it here. So it's sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is not sex-linked. Okay, and sickle cell disease is recessive, But the special thing about sickle cell disease, a special thing is that it's codominant. Now, what does this mean? We talked about this in class. I'll say it again. This means that a person who is homozygous dominant for sickle cell does not have it. No. A person who is heterozygous for sickle cell has some abnormally shaped red blood cells. So has some abnormal RBCs, red blood cells. Okay? And for a person to have the disease, they need to be homozygous recessive. So this is yes. Okay, and this is what codominance means in this case. So we're looking at Jeffrey, who has some abnormally, just found out that he has some abnormally shaped red blood cells. So he has some. So Jeff here must be DD, capital D, small d, but has none of the symptoms of sickle cell disease. I even say it in the problem. His wife, however, has the disease. So his wife is definitely small d, small d. Using the Punnett Squares, determine the possible genotypes and phenotypes of their offspring. Okay, so fair enough. And this is an easy one because you have the genotypes. So this is Jeff, this is his wife, and if we cross them, we get this. So we can see that 2 out of the 4 are going to have it. So it's 50% of their offspring will have the disease. So it's 50% that they will have it. Okay, so that was a pretty simple one. Now, again, like I said, starting now and in future tests and quizzes and exams, you need to be familiar with these terms. I'm going to use terms like recessive, codominant, heterozygous, homozygous within the word problem. Words like genotypes and phenotypes, you need to know that. So you can't be calling me over to ask me what they mean. Okay, so this was 2 problems, the 2 types of problems that you may get. Not only the 2 types, but these are 2 of the possible problems that you may get on a future test or quiz, and I'll try to put together another similar video like this. All right? See you later.